Hello, and here we are at the Finadlink channel, and today we will do some practice by configuring a small network. If you have followed the video last time, what we did, we created a small network by adding a router, a switch, and devices. In this case, a desktop computer. So what we will do is that we will need to configure the network with IP addresses by assuming that we have the network IP address as 192.168.5.0/24, and we configure the IP address for the computer, the switch for the virtual interface, where this virtual interface will be needed to configure in case we need to access our switch remotely, not with a console cable. And if we need to configure the switch by a remote network, we need to configure even an IP default gateway for the switch. And at the router, what we will do is to configure the interface that is connected with our network, and this IP address will be the default gateway. But before we do that, what we need to do is doing some basic configuration at the switch and the router by adding for each device the host name, which will be uniquely identify the device. We will configure the password for the privileged access mode with the class, V2I, and the line console with Cisco. We will encrypt this password in case we need to protect our network by the threat actors, so they won't be able to read our password. And we will configure a banner message where with this message we will let know that that device will be accessed only by authorized personnel. And at the security shell, we will at the switch, we will configure even a security shell, which is a protocol for remote access with the device, where the connection for authentication and communication between devices will be more secure than the telnet. So let's go in our packet tracer simulator program and configure. Since last time we connected our device computer with the router, with the console, now we will do the router first. You can configure the router just by clicking the router and go to the command line, or we will go to our computer, we will go to the desktop at the terminal, which means that we are connected with the router by using the console. And if we need to have access, we use enable command, and here you can see that now we are accessing the router. In this level, what we will do is just doing some verification by using the show command, and just copy the running configuration to the startup configuration. We need to do this copy, so we need to save our configuration in case we don't want that our configuration to be lost if the device will be shut down. And after powering up, all the configuration will be lost. That's why we need to copy those running configuration from RAM memory to the NVRAM. In case we need to do the configuration, we need to be the global configuration. Config T, we are at the global configuration mode here. By host the name command as route 1, we are configuring the name, it changed by directly. We will enable a password for the privileged access mode as class. Enable. And after that, we will go to the line console. And since we have only one console port, we need to configure only one console. So here we will add a password as Cisco was at the slide. We will activate that with login, exit, and we can go to the line V2I for configuring the remote access, and there are 16 V2Is. By using 0 to 15, we are using this range to configure all 16 V2Is with a password, Cisco, activate that with a login, exit, just encrypt all the password. We use the service password encryption command. We will add a banner message of the day between hashtags. There can be any kind of message. And we need to configure the interface that is connected with our network, which is interface gigabit Ethernet 01. So we say we use the short syntax, and here we can configure the IP address, which was 192.168.5.254 with a subnet mask for the /24. And by default, all the interfaces are in the shutdown mode, so you have to activate them. Now shut it down, and you can see that the change status up. And we need to copy our running configuration to the startup config. We ask if the destination file name is right, and let's say here, and let's do some testings. We exit and we try to access it again. Since we are in the console connection, we have to enter the console password, and for accessing the device, we enable command. It ask for the password. For the privileged access mode, it was class, and here we are at the switch, at the router. Now that we are done with the router, let's go and configure the switch. We will change the console from the router to the switch, and we will go here at the terminal, and you can see that you are configuring the switch. Same, enable. Here we config terminal, host name switch 1. We will enable a password for the we will go to the line console. We will add a password. We will activate that. We can go directly to the line V2I 015, and now we can encrypt with the command service password encryption, add a banner message of the day. And after that, what we need to do is to configure the switch virtual interface. But if you go to the switch you can see that just by going to the switch, you will see that all the interface, the VLAN one is automatically configured, added there, and all interfaces are assigned to this VLAN. So we can use this VLAN for the switch virtual interface, but since we want to protect our network from the threat actor, we can use a different kind of VLAN for the switch virtual interface. So let's go here, and by saying interface VLAN 99, for example, you are trying to configure this virtual interface 99 with an IP address as 192.168.1 with the subject mask of the network. And we said that we need to configure an IP default gateway, which and after that we have to configure the security shell. But before that, let's go here and check if our device supports security shell version 2. By just using the show version command, we go and check, and if at the file name you will see the key 9, it means that our device supports the security shell version 2. So let's go at the global configuration mode. For configure the security shell, first thing you have to do an IP domain. IP domain name as Cisco. It's an example. Here we have to generate a key pair by using crypto key. So we are generating a key pair between the devices. It asks for how long that will be the key pair, so we are using this 1024, and then we have to create a user with using the command username as an admin, and for this user we have to add a password. And then we have to be at the V2I, and to make sure that this virtual line to be accessed for secure shell, we are using the transport input security shell, and here by saying the login local can be accessed by the users that will be in this database. In this case, by accessing only by admin. Exit. And what we will do is let's do some show running config. And you can see that we have configured the host name, we create an enable secret, an IP domain for the security shell, we created the user for accessing the secure remotely, and you can see that we even created a VLAN 99 with an IP address which stands for the switch virtual interface here, and we configured even a default gateway. We configured a banner message of the day. We configured line console and V2I with a password, and you won't be able to see those passwords since we configured the encryption with the service password encryption. So let's go to our computer, configure the IP address 192.168.5.10 automatically, and let's see if our computer will reach the router, which is true. So what we did is that we did the basic configuration. We tested if the basic configuration was configured okay at the router. We configured the switch and we use the show running config to see all the configurations that are done at the switch. But before that, we forgot to copy the configuration to the startup config, so we are doing that now. And we configured even IP address for our computer, and we tested if our computer can reach the router. So that was all about for this video about the configuration at the network. See you to the next session, and do not forget to subscribe at this channel, and if you like the video, share it with your friends.